of any NFT changes by any mechanism. So if you're able to transfer, if you're able to do any sort of transfer of an NFT, you have to implement this. You have to basically add this event to your contract. Then we have the approval event. Basically, based on the approved address for an NFT is changed or reaffirmed. So Christian, just mute, please. Thank you. No, yeah. So then, basically, that's really much on it. So whenever the you basically make this when the approved address for an NFT is changed or reaffirmed. So the zero address indicates that there's no approved address. Then a good thing to also note that when a transfer event meets, this also indicates that the approved address for that NFT is researched to none. Okay. So then approve for all event basically meets when the operator is enabled or disabled for an owner. So this operator can manage all NFTs of a particular owner. Then we now have the functions. We have that. So I think so now, I think before we get to that, I think I want to focus. I want to now first tackle what to basically mean by approval. Okay. So I think this from this, what do you think the approval is really? What do you think mean by the approval? Like, what is this approval basically? What does this approve actually mean? What are you're even trying to approve in the first place? Allowing what? What are we allowing? Hi, hello.
Like, can you explain?
Yeah, like we have the approval and approval for all. What do they mean? Like, why are these two important? Ideally, what do you mean by approval? Yeah, what are they? I think, yeah, it's a question like, what are they? Okay, fine. Ideally, what do you mean by approval is that ideally granting the approved address to be able to transfer ownership of a particular NFT, giving that, you see this by approved address you're mentioning here. Ideally, what we're doing is we are giving this approved address the permission to be able to transfer ownership of that particular NFT. Okay. And basically, that is now granted by the owner themselves. Right. That's ideally what you mean by approval. Okay. There's a shot. Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. That's ideally what we basically mean by approval. So kindly take note of that. That's ideally what we mean by approval. Right, so functions that we need for our NFT contract, we need, of course, the balance of, okay, basically counts all NFTs assigned to an owner. Good thing to note is that NFTs assigned to the zero address are considered invalid. And this functions throws for queries about the zero address. Now, the next function you have is a function owner of. It really basically means get to find the owner of a particular NFT. And of course, NFTs assigned to a zero address are considered invalid, and queries about them do throw. So then now we have a safe transfer from. Basically transfers ownership of an NFT from one address to another address. And a bit of diagnosis there is that this basically throws unless the sender is the current owner. Okay, so if the sender is not the current owner or an authorized operator or an approved address, it will throw. Then another bit to note about the implementation of this is that we expect it throws if Yeah, I think that's really it, really. And also to make sure that the NFT is basically the two is a zero address to it. If that's the case, ideally we basically throw at this point. So can you always take you to ideally check out on? I think someone is unmuted. Please, Christian and Joseph, please mute. Right. So that's the first safe transfer from that we have. Then another thing to note on this is that we have this it's the same we basically have the same these two are the same. The major difference we have is in this data parameter here. It's really additional data with no specified format, daily sent in called to that particular to address. So ideally just to help us track more information about if my life changed fast, which is okay, thank you. Yeah, so really more data about this particular transfer information is great, is ideally added there. Then ideally the difference between the first and this is that the data function at this point ideally just is set to an empty string. Okay. Great, then you have the transfer from function. Yeah, basically transferring the token from this address to this address, given the token ID. So can you take note that the notice is that transfer of ownership of an NFT, the caller is responsible to confirm that the two is capable of receiving NFTs, or else it may basically be permanently lost. Okay. So of course, good thing to note about this is that this throws unless the sender is the current owner or an authorized operator or is an approved address for this NFT. Okay. It also throws if from is not the current owner, and throws if two is a zero address, throws if token ID is not a valid NFT. Right. So then you have the proof function. It really just as we talked about, where basically change or reaffirm the proof address for an NFT, and of course expect the proof event to be set. Then you have a set proof for role that does enables or disables approval for third party or the operator to manage all of the sender's assets. Again, should limit the approve for all event. Okay. Then we have the get approved, the basically gets approved address for a single NFT. Then you have is approved for all. It gets us whether an address is an authorized operator for another address. Okay, that's great. So that's really much on how you'll be able to implement this. So I believe one interesting bit that we also need to mention is that on top of this, we also have an extra specification right here. So can you take note of this? For every ERC 721 compliant contract, for every contract to be ERC 721 compliant, to expect you to implement the ERC 721 and ERC 165 interfaces listed below. So what is this ERC 161? 165 right there. Is it listed here? Yeah. So which is basically a standard interface detection standard. So this ideally creates a standard method to publish and detect what interfaces a smart contract implements. Okay, so this is needed for that. So the motivation behind this was for some standard interfaces like the ERC20 token interface. It was sometimes useful to query whether a contract supports the interface, and if yes, which version of the interface, in order to adapt the way in which the contract is to be interacted with. Okay, so this proposal standardizes this concept of interfaces and standardizes the identification of these interfaces. So for our contract, we now have this particular right there. So can we really query if a contract implements an interface, and the interface ID ideally is interface identifier specified in ERC 165. So I can see, just come and check out the specification. Really talks about how these interfaces are identified. So please, when you have time, come and read this particular interface right here. I believe you can even see it as yeah, slight implementation and also some bit of test cases for that. So please, when you have time, come and check this out. Yeah, and so that's really much about RESC 2721. So there's actually more information to read. And it's also good to talk about the metadata. So you check out the metadata for your token. So the main bits about your metadata actually come from here. So I believe whenever, let's say, your NFT ideally also has like a pictorial representation, is ideally where you come and add, you basically come and add your image source at this particular point. Okay. So if you've seen NFTs online and come look at the metadata, this is really where this is really the kind of the bare minimum you'd expect to get. And you should also take note of that. You should also take note of this image right here. Ideally, this is basically where the scanners and everything, every Ethereum scanners, and actually just anyone consuming your, if you're trying to get details about your token, we try to get the image of the image of NFT, but all there's any image right there. Okay. But maybe you're not basically limited to this. You can be able to add more properties that are specific to a use case. Okay. So you can see we also have a bit more optional extensions for your contract. Okay, so this basically allows you to contract to publish its full list of NFTs and make them discoverable. So if you need to do that, you can be able to do this, especially for people who will be having their own, possibly trying to publish their own art stuff. Maybe this is a good way to implement. This is one bit you have to implement for your contract. Right. Great, and that's basically much about yeah, the NFTs. So there's actually more information that is needed here. That is, yeah, it's good to come and read about them right here. So please, when you have time, come and check this out, read. You've also been given yeah, some few test cases you can use to test the contract that you've written. So it's kind of like, it's very good that uses these cases to make sure that your implementation works. And that if at all anyone wants to get a good to basically try to handle NFTs, they'll be able to ideally also be able to use them as expected. Great. So those are basically the main two standards that you they are good to know. Then, of course, those are not the only ones, but the standards actually quite many, as you can see in this list. It's quite a long list. You can see it goes all the way. Also shows some few ones that are still under review. Okay, and it shows some that are still in review. So ideally, even if you can actually have like a proposal for token standard, it is basically where you come and place them right there. Okay, so yeah, you can see there are two charts right here. So what are things you not know when using the EIP 165? I hope I answered that question. I hope I answered this question. This type, you've answered that question. My life changed fast. So hope I answered that question. I hadn't seen it. Okay. But ideally, all this information can get them at this point. So what I'm going to do, I'll just share this to the group. I'll just share this to the group. Actually, already, wait, I'll just share this to the group, yeah. That's where you get most of these proposals. Read the final ones. The final ones are actually the ones that are done. Then I'll also share this docs of the OpenZeppelin. So please he can inherit he can be able to use the token standard that already is the libraries that OpenZeppelin provides for your work, so we can be able now to use them properly. Okay. So yeah, so please just can just come and check out OpenZeppelin. You can be able to also use their own as we've seen, there's a way they provided like contracts that you can inherit to be able to implement our tokens easily. So please check out that. Right. So without further ado, I think we can now proceed to talk about projects. So yeah. Now, ideally, I think this is the final project that the projects that we need you to do is just come up with a simple use case. Just think of something that you can do within a short amount of time in your groups. And so the idea behind this is that we want to be able, idea behind this is that you should be able now to write a complete, we should be able to write a complete, you should be able to write ideally a complete Web3 project, all the way from writing your contract to testing it and being able to consume your contract's functionality either via an API, a backend API, or via a web interface. So that's basically the main points that we'll be looking at for this. And so it's paramount that your project that you basically complete this project, because we will need it to certify, to give you the certificate. So please liaise in groups. Just come up with a simple project. Make sure the project is also a bit unique. Something that really shows your growth as a Web3 engineer in writing contracts and actually being able to consume them with the applications. Okay. So yeah. So ideally, today's class is actually going to be short. I don't know. Seeing there's a question from my yeah. My life changed fast. Actually, if you want to come learn more about the 165, you just come to this particular documentation right here, and actually we will get everything you need for a particular token standard. Okay. So you can see it talks about what you need to implement, why you need to do that. So it gives you the rationale behind this. Okay. So really it basically standardizes the concept of identification of ideally what your contract basically supports. Okay. So really that's, kindly pardon me. So all right, so yeah, more of this information about the 165 the RC 165 can be found here. Okay, so please just come and check out. You can just come and read through this documentation right here. It gives you like a few test cases to check this. So ideally again for the project, what you basically need from you is we need you to write a project. Okay, we need you to write an entire entire Web3 project. Could be any idea, could be from a voting up to writing your own NFT, trying to create your own NFTs. Could be creating your own token. Okay. And the idea behind it is that you should be able to write the contract as a team. You should be able to write test cases for your contract. We don't really specify the type of programming language you use. Could be JavaScript, Rust, Go, Ruby, Java, Delphi. Ideally, whichever supported language you can be able to use, please use it. And at the end of the day, you should now be able, after testing it, you should deploy your contract. We'll also be needing your contract address. You'll fill in the contract addresses so we can be able to verify what you've written. And you should also now be able to interact with your project. Okay. So yeah, so ideally that's what you'll be needing. And once you're done, submission will also be done. You will need to upload your project to a GitHub page that you can now be able to submit it to us and we can check it out. And yes, and afterwards you should now be able to properly graduate as Web3 engineers. So yeah, that's basically it on this. Is there any questions on the final project? Any questions on the final project? Any questions? So please, yeah, so what you've done during these first few days has basically been the tip of the iceberg of what was expected. To ideally just the tip of the iceberg of what actually is the Web3 engineering. It's quite a large space. There's so many possibilities in Web3. So when I'm supposed to propose the project, yeah, it's simple. So make sure you submit the project by tomorrow's class. Yeah, time frame. Submit the project by tomorrow's class. Okay. So by the time you're coming for tomorrow's class, have at least daily have something ready. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, yeah, I'll provide you with the get and PDF for this. Don't worry. Okay. So yeah, so they doesn't have to be like perfectly done because it's not really a competition. It's more of a learning. It's more of a learning checkpoint for you people, for you for you. So please coordinate in your groups. Make sure that you're able to do this together. Okay. So don't choose an easy thing like or give me like because I know the Ethereum, the Solidity docs have like already have like sample sample projects you can use. So please avoid using these examples that are here. Try doing something that we learn basically. Okay. Already this has already been handled for you. So try doing something else. Okay. Just try using a random just try using another example that you may have. Could be, let's say, like I saw most of you mentioned about handling health data. So I'd like to see how it basically able to handle health data, and if we can use you can use an NFT. You can be able to create an NFT compliant contract, RC 1721 compliant contract. Actually, that would be very great for you. So yeah, so last in your groups. Any ideas that we can challenge us. Uh, okay. So try seeing how you can handle identity on the blockchain. That's actually what I specialized in Web3 development. So try see how you can do that. You handle identity in the blockchain. I'd like to see how you do that. Try to see how you can handle let's say you've bought ketchup, okay? So try seeing yeah, you can also try doing that. Yeah, trying to see how you can build a health data set on the blockchain network. You can also try seeing how you can track you can be able to track all the ingredients of anything over, let's say, like over perishable. I don't know what to call it. I can call it like of a food product as of a food product. Let's say example is ketchup. Okay, let's say you bought ketchup. Could be Heinz. Let's say you bought Heinz ketchup. Can you be able to tell where the tomatoes come from? Who basically grew the tomatoes? So we really who grew the tomatoes? You can be able to tell who grew the tomatoes, who bought the tomatoes from the farmer. Okay, from the farmer who was able to bought the tomatoes from the farmer. How are the tomato? Who basically prepared the tomatoes for Haynes? What did Haynes use to basically be able to be able to create the ketchup really, be able to build the ketchup for us. So if you can basically be able to, this is actually a very big problem. It's actually a very big research. There's a very big market on this. So we really call this supply chain stuff. So be able to, if you can be able to do a project like this, that would actually be very good for you. Actually, most of the projects you may be able to do, you can learn about fairly 30 startups with them. And yeah, and I believe as Memui, we should be able to give you even a bit of publicity on what you're building on this. So yeah, so please try looking for build interesting projects on this, because I know there's a lot to do, but I know as a team you can be able to tackle most of this work easily. Okay. So I will provide you with a PDF with the project guidelines in a few minutes once you're done with this class. And yeah, I think that's really, I hope that's really it on this. So do you have any questions? I think today's class will be finished early so that you can now get into your groups. I think you can just live to the groups and handle the work. Now we can give you time to start doing your projects. Okay, so also make sure that you submitted your assignments for yesterday. So I can start so we can be able now to grade you. We can be able to give you you can be able now to see whether you're eligible for the certificates. So please make sure that's also done. But I think if there's no questions, thank you so much for your time and efforts during these few days. It's been a blast getting to know all of you. And I hope I've been able to at least get you up to speed on how to be able to get started on Web3. Yeah, and that's really much for me. I think Aisha, you can take over.
Thank you very much, Victor, for taking us on today's session. Aisha is not available. She went off shortly. So just like Victor said, thank you very much, guys. Thank you to our listeners. I hope you've learned a thing or two. If you have any question and I am not able to ask right now, you can ask in the group chat. Yes, you can ask in the group chat. Victor will be there to respond to every question you have. So thank you very much, Victor, once again. And see you tomorrow, same time, when we'll be finalizing the whole class. Bye for now.